out doing very, very well despite their own endeavours and indiscipline to come away with the result here. And you're actually very pleased with this in terms of a team performance from the people that were left on the pitch, Mark.
It was quite probably the most enjoyable game this season for me. Right. The circumstances as they developed, the last second win, all of that just added to it. If anything, a referee, I'm not going to say it was an entirely inept performance and say he was useless and rubbish and shite and all of that, but a refereeing performance of controversy and some mistakes, right, contributed massively to the atmosphere and the excitement level of this game. So actually, you could argue refereeing standards are driving better atmospheres at games, even if it's not necessarily positive atmospheres for the referees to be involved in.
Well, if any kind of atmosphere is getting created at the DW, that is certainly a good thing.
So Wakefield fans tried to do the clappy thing, particularly when they took the lead, and it was looking like they
surely not enough of them.
No, but this was the thing: the two coachfuls of Wakefield fans and Brian, Mrs. Davies, they tried to get the slow hand clappy thing going, and obviously the reaction to that was Wigan fans doing it when Lewis Tierney scored at the end.
Right, okay.
And we actually had
enough people,
10,000 of us to do it.
Fair enough. How does it work? Do you just start slowly clapping
and then end up clapping faster?
Right.
It's annoying.
I thought it was the players that had to instigate it, though. I thought it was like the players were. I thought it was just something that happens at the end of games, and the players go down, and it's the players that lead it. Is that not the case?
No, it happens in the games too.
Right. I've not really watched a lot of. I don't watch a lot of football. I don't watch a lot of football.
To be honest, it's one of those things that fans do that and kind of annoys me. But it was funny in this context that Wakefield kept probably 3 or 4 times during the game trying to get it going to let's channel the Iceland spirit or whatever, and then actually
did it take the place of insert name here is on fire?
Kind of, which is at least
that's a relief,
better than the word I suppose. But anyway, the actual game itself, Wakefield were woeful in attack, and the better team won, in my opinion, on the basis of Wigan were far more threatening and capable in attack. Apart from the first 15 minutes, until the first sin bin, Wigan's attack was very scratchy, very patchy.
Right.
And Wigan's goal line defence on 2 occasions in this game fell apart, unfortunately, for the Jowett try and for the who's been linked with Warrington, hasn't he? The Reece Lynn try right at the start of the second half. But other than those 2 tries, only the Ben Jones-Bishop try was evidence of them taking advantage of the of the extra players, and we'll come to that. But so I don't think Wakefield's attack was ever really good enough in this. Wigan's scrambling defence, when called upon, was strong enough. Sam Tompkins picked up an injury right at the start of the second half, or maybe even before that, because he seemed to me limping when he came out for the second half, and then got a knock that made it worse when he took a high kick. Landed a little bit awkwardly in a challenge, and that means he's probably going to be out next week, and we'll see how he is for the Saints game. The talk is it's precautionary. He'll be fine in a week's time.
Okay.
Touch and go for next week, but so there's other players missing. Obviously, Joel Tompkins is going to miss the rest of the season. Mossop was suspended. Bateman's still on his suspension. We had Club Crosby out injured.
Yeah. When's Bateman back? A couple of weeks.
Farrell out injured.
Yeah.
Bateman's back for the Saints game in 2 weeks.
Did you mention Tompkins as well?
So there was limitations for Wigan in terms of that, but similarly, Wakefield were without people like England and Anderson, which is very important to their pack. Fafita, Wakefield looked really small, apart from Fafita, massive, and Walton really broad.
Right.
Baffling. He just dwarfs the rest of the Wakefield side. And I don't know if that's an issue for them, and it's certainly going to hamper any sort of success that they'll.
Do you think it's going to be an issue for them once they get guys like England and Scruton and the other 2 or 3 forwards that they're missing back? I don't think he's not necessarily that much bigger than those guys.
It wouldn't be as much of a problem, I suppose, but in this game it felt like Wigan were far better conditioned. Wakefield seemed to be tiring, even with the men advantage they have. And we'll talk about the men advantage now, I suppose. Having seen the replay from the other angle of the Manfredi one, I understand why it was awarded as an offence and a sin bin. He did sort of can't drop his forearm onto Scott Moore.
Yeah.
I do think that the referee had lost a little bit of control of the ruck, especially where Don Manfredi was involved, and could have given penalties a number of times that he didn't give, including on this occasion because Scotty Moore had kind of got him round the neck and rolled over him. And I'm not surprised that Don Manfredi by that point felt like he needed to take it into his own hands, because every carry he'd had to that point he'd been roughed up after the tackle had been completed, and nothing was done by the referee whatsoever. So that was kind of a frustration for the Wigan fans. And because a lot of the Wigan fans wouldn't have had a good view, the South Stand and the East Stand would not have had a good view of the actual incident as it happened. But having watched it back, I'm totally fine with the call. The next contentious issue, though, came when Scott Moore should have been sin-binned at least once. A lot of Wigan fans feel twice. I think the first time he got a shoulder out to Sam Tompkins, who was chasing a kick, but Sam Tompkins was not in position to be picking up the kick, and there was probably 3 Wakefield players in sort of an umbrella around that would have had an opportunity to stop Sam Tompkins scoring if he had picked up the ball. The second one, I do not know how it was possibly not a sin binning, but what Child gave was offside when on their own goal line against. This was just at the point Wigan had gone back to 13 players. When Matty Smith put a kick through, was literally in the process of going to regather it. He only had Jowett to beat, and he probably would have beaten him the distance they had, the way people were moving. He would have scored a try almost certainly. Right. Scott Moore grabbed out and pulled Matty Smith's arm that was reaching down to get the ball. Right. But Child gave offside for the players not being backed on the goal line, rather than the penalty. So he gave a penalty, but for offside, rather than for the actual infringement that was the serious infringement, which was the pullback, which should have been a sin bin. And then this is when Wigan fans got really irate, because about 30 seconds later, or the next set along sort of thing, the next Wigan attacking set, Wigan threw a bad pass that. It might have got the order of events the wrong way around. Actually, it might have been the nudge might have been first. Then the nudge one on Sam Tompkins was first, and then I think the Charlie Simeon, and then he did. Either way, he didn't send more off for one that was very, very blatant, and then the Charlie Simeon. Watching it back, I think he was unfortunate. He did make contact with Craig Hall. Craig Hall had got ahead of him in the foot race for the loose ball and could have picked it up and potentially could have run the 55 metres that was remaining with 3 Wigan players chasing him and scored. It's not that likely that he necessarily would have. But also, to get the position on Josh Charnley, he'd put his arm in front of Josh Charnley's body as he'd got past him, because he was quicker off the mark, because Josh Charnley had to turn. Right. So he put his arm in front of Josh Charnley. He hadn't really upset him too much, but he slowed down him getting acceleration, and then Josh Charnley sort of tangled on him and sort of pulled him back a bit. And what Josh Charnley did was wrong, right. But I don't think that Craig Hall was necessarily going to score. And I also think there's some mitigation in there. There was contact from both of them. Yeah. So that one was unfortunate. But because of the Scott Moore one not happening and that one happening, the Wigan fans' anger was then really up. Right. And I was one of those. I was really angry. I was like, oh, you'll get sin bin for anything, do what you want. And then Sean O'Loughlin did what he did. Yeah. And at first I thought, well, the play was dipping and Sean O'Loughlin was stepped. And these are both true things, but Sean O'Loughlin made direct contact to the guy's head. And whilst you could argue other decisions like that have been missed, Ashton Sims only a week ago, for example, you can't argue that it wasn't a bad one in terms of the where and how the contact was made. I don't think it was reckless, like they've given it as a charge on reckless grade C. I think it probably would have been a careless and a grade B because of the factors of the player was stepping in. Sean O'Loughlin shot out the line too fast, then had to adjust, reached an arm out. It wasn't a swinging arm. It was below his shoulder level. Anakin was sort of dipping. Yeah. But he cleaned him out. So the red card is fair. I just want to see more of them for those similar sorts of offences going forward.
Can his past history be used in the decision-making process for what grading they're giving it?
You mean that he's never been sent off and never had a ban?
Well, he's always been a bit headhuntery though, hasn't he? I suppose not. No, you can't just... No. Oh, they haven't.
He's never been charged for one, so no. He has a history of high shots, but not. But again, they're more like reaching out kind of ones rather than.
Which is what I thought. This again, and this is the point I want to make. Yes, he does have this reputation for lazy challenges that cause damage, and I genuinely don't think that they are malicious, and I think this one falls into that category. It's lazy and it's dangerous and it needs dealing with, and it was right to send him off. But what I don't think was that Sean O'Loughlin's lined him up.
Having watched it from that other side again, because I'm on the other side of the pitch, but the camera saw the contact side and all of that, and watched it properly on a TV screen rather than just on a phone screen at half time.
Right.
I accept the decision.
Yeah.
I'm a bit disappointed that the grading's as severe as it is for the charge, but we move on. But anyway, we've talked enough about this, haven't we? So shall I just go into the numbers, and then that's when I can heap praise on a couple of Wigan players.
Yes, carry on.
Incomplete stats on this one player missing. It was Macaulay Davies. I know for a fact he had an error or two, so that would have swung some of these counts quite significantly in terms of what we'd talk about as the story of the game. But despite having at least one player less on the pitch for the majority of the game, because there was a 2-minute period where there was 2 players less, Wigan kept more ball, they made more metres, they were able to make more breaks, 5-2, and force 3 goal line dropouts to 0. The numbers suggest the better side won despite the 3 cards for those 3 moments, 2 yellow and 1 red. Simple, Wigan were better. Lewis Tierney with 2 tries, 147 metres, 3 clean breaks was very impressive. His try at the end was, it's not the most certain try in the world, but the touch judge and the in-goal judge were very close to it, and the referee was also on point, so you have to trust their judgment. They were a lot closer than anyone else was. And Wigan deserved it. Oliver Gildart a try, 129 metres. George Williams, 3 try assists, 6 tackles, 101 metres, 2 clean breaks. He was the player that was scratchy in the first 15 minutes. Once he got on his game, he made 2 clean breaks when we were a man down.
Yeah.
And one of them from the middle of the pitch. He can't run the length of the field apparently, because Gary Schofield knows what he's talking about. But this
is the second week.
Well, it's just, why talk shit when it's totally obvious that you're talking shit?
Because that's what he does to make his money. That's how he's always been as a pundit.
I wish we made money for the shit we get to talk.
Well, I almost think that we're probably better than him.
I don't know about that.
We do all right on back chat.
Josh Charnley, 151 metres as well. But George Williams was really impressive once he got going, and Lewis Tierney showed what he can be as a winger in this side. Tao Tai was really strong as well. He's since that second half against Salford, when he was complete and utter rubbish, he's shown masses more restraint in the way he's played, masses of improvement and masses more responsibility, and he had to in this game because the rest of our pack was kids.
So you agree with Gary Schofield then? It was last week was making that exact point about the improvement in Tally with Tao Tai.
Yeah, you've got to agree with him when two people say something like that, yeah. Max Jowett, 1 try, 115 metres. The kid has got skill and he pops up in some creative places. That last tackle try he scored was really impressive. Bill Tupu was a handful for Wigan, 140 metres. He was hard to put down. He was carrying men quite some way sometimes, but they just about managed to control him to stop any offloads. Craig Hall on his outside, 137 metres. He did a lot of the kick returning in this one. Reece Lynn with a try and a try assist squeaks in. I think his try assist was quite clever, but it was the only time that Wakefield took advantage of the extra man at all in the game, really. So attack was poor. Liam Finn, I don't think, had a very good game, and Wigan targeted Miller. Wigan ran Sutton and Flower consistently at Miller in the first half,
which is sensible. That's a good way to shut Wakefield down.
And it really did the job. Did the job.
Okay, fan reviews then. Tyler Cassfan got in touch. Says massive credit to Wigan. Had as many injuries as any other team, playing youngsters, but still managed to grind out results. Just never give up and refuse to be beaten. The state of mind of that side is impressive. Paul Lewis says, I've only seen the highlights, but I have to praise James Child. He seems to be the only ref brave enough to send players off for blatant high shots. Seen him send off 3 players for bad headshots. He may have his faults, but wish the other refs would have the bollocks he has with the cards.
Yeah, I think on reflection, he made some mistakes that were against Wigan, so we can understand the fans' anger at him.
Yeah.
But the decisions he made. He made a lot of correct decisions, and these big decisions were all correct. He made a couple of incorrect big decisions. Ultimately, it didn't cost Wigan the game, and I don't think he would have deserved criticism for costing Wigan the game if that had been the case anyway, because those cards were correct.
Yeah. I'm with you. Right, so to Sunday then, and the Castleford Tigers booked themselves a top 8 spot this weekend. Points galore in this one with a 38 points to 24 win over the Catalan Dragons. The Dragons missing a couple of key players in Todd Carney and Brett Stewart, but Castleford, despite the arrival of Reggie Chase, decided not